Hello everyone, welcome to this second lecture on climate change. So in my last lecture I talked about climate science and data and controversies in climate observations and trends that you can observe in climate data. But today I'm going to talk about taking action. Because taking action to avoid climate change is quite costly. But on the other hand, the impacts of climate change might be very costly. And how do we weigh the benefits of taking actions against the cost of those actions? So it's being argued that by our clever science monkeys that we should do something about the banana peel that goes into the lake. Because if we don't do something, our lifestyles will be impacted. But then not everybody believes that science. And if you don't believe the science, why would you undertake any action? Now I want to take you back to 10 years ago when this really famous report, I guess it wasn't that popular, this really famous report came out on the economics of climate change. It was also called the Stern Review. It was written by Sir Nicholas Stern, who predicted that if we don't act on climate change, the overall costs will be equivalent to losing at least 5% of global GDP every year, for now and forever into the future. Whereas if we take actions to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and avoid the worst impacts of climate change, those costs could maybe be around 1% of global GDP per year. So a lot lower than the potential risks. So this Stern Review recommended urgent, immediate and sharp reductions in greenhouse gas emissions. Not sure if we've seen any of those actions. Because since the Stern Review, there's still people arguing that there is no scientific consensus about greenhouse gas emissions causing climate change. Which is a shame. So today I want to talk about how are we making decisions about taking climate change action. What can we do about climate change? So usually climate change abatement, which is actions to reduce climate change, are divided into either mitigation or adaptation. Mitigation are things we can do to reduce the effect of greenhouse gas emissions, to reduce our contribution to global warming, either by reducing the source of emissions or by increasing the storage of carbon, increasing carbon sinks. And actions we could take include seeking alternative energy sources like biofuel, solar energy, wind energy, planting trees that capture carbon and store it in the tree and in the soil, installing pollution filters, managing bushfires, lots of different things. Whereas climate change adaptation are actions that we can take to reduce the negative impacts of climate change on human society. So it's either to reduce the negative impacts or to harness any potential beneficial opportunities. And these are things like taking out insurance for natural disaster, finding new sources for fresh water, breeding new crop varieties that can withstand higher temperatures, building higher dikes to protect ourselves from sea level rise. I will talk about climate change and climate change adaptation to climate change mitigation and climate change adaptation a bit more in the next lecture. Let's have a short break before I talk to you about how we're going to make decisions about the cost and the benefits of climate change.